I'm glad you're here. Follow my story until the end and comment where you're watching from. I want to see how far my story has reached. My name is Margaret. I'm 68 years old, and 3 months ago, a single phone call shattered everything I believed about my 42-year marriage. The phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the kitchen making Robert's favorite chicken casserole, the same recipe I had been making every Tuesday for longer than I can remember. The number on the screen wasn't one I recognized, but I answered it anyway. Hello? There was a pause. Then a woman's voice. Young. Nervous. Oh, Jessica! Oh, thank God. I'm so sorry. I can't make it tonight. Tell Robert I'll explain later. My hand froze holding the phone. Jessica. Pause. That wasn't my name. Why would this woman call me Jessica? And why did Robert need to know? Before I could see anything, she hung up. I stood there in my kitchen, the phone still in my hand, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Jessica. Jessica. The name kept repeating in my mind. Then it hit me. I knew that voice. I'd heard it at church, at coffee hour after Sunday service. It was Linda's daughter, the pretty young nurse who always smiled so sweetly at everyone. Her name was Jessica. My hand started shaking. I set the phone down on the counter, carefully, like it might explode if I moved too fast. Why would Jessica call my phone and call me by her own name? Why would she need to tell Robert anything? I looked at the casserole in the oven, the table set for two, Robert's favorite wine breathing on the counter. 42 years of Tuesday dinners. 42 years of being a good wife. Had any of it been real? I needed to know the truth. But I couldn't just ask Robert. I've watched enough true crime shows. I know what happens when the wife confronts too soon. She loses. She looks crazy. She ends up with nothing. So I did something I'd never done before. I went looking for proof. Robert keeps his phone locked now. He changed the password about 6 months ago. Said it was for security. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Why would I? After 42 years, you trust your husband. But his iPad sits on the kitchen desk, always plugged in, always synced to his phone. He doesn't know I know that. I opened it with trembling fingers, went straight to messages. Most of them were deleted, but the notifications were still there. Little previews of texts he thought were gone forever. Can't wait to see you Tuesday. You make me feel alive again. She doesn't understand me like you do. Each message felt like a knife. Sharp, cold, precise. I scrolled further back. Months of Tuesdays. All those golf days. All those times he came home smelling like fresh air and smiled at me over dinner. He'd been lying. For how long? How many Tuesdays? Then I opened his financial apps, the ones he thought I didn't know how to use. Robert always handled the investments. I handled the household bills. That was our arrangement for 42 years. There it was. Venmo. Payment after payment to Jessica R. $500, $800, $1,200. My mother's inheritance. The money she left me when she died. The money that was supposed to be for our grandchildren's college funds. He'd been sending it to her. I felt sick. Actually sick. I had to sit down right there at the kitchen desk. 42 years. I gave up my teaching career when Jennifer was born. Robert said mothers should be home with their babies. I agreed. I wanted to be there for our children. I raised Jennifer and Christopher. I hosted his business dinners. I smiled at his colleagues. I made this house a home. I was a good wife. Wasn't I? The oven timer went off. The casserole was ready. Perfect timing. Just like always. Robert came home 20 minutes later. Same as every Tuesday. Kissed my cheek, complimented dinner, asked about my day. I smiled. I served his food. I poured his wine. And I said absolutely nothing. Because I'd made a decision standing in that kitchen. I could confront him right then, scream, cry, throw things. Maybe that's what he expected someday. Maybe that's what he was prepared for. But I've lived 68 years. I've learned a few things. The wife who loses control loses everything. So I would gather evidence first. I would plan. I would be 3 steps ahead. And then I would strike. Robert had no idea what was coming. He ate his casserole, drank his wine, told me about his day. All lies, probably, but I nodded and smiled. That night, lying in bed next to him, listening to him snore, I made myself a promise. I had 3 weeks before our 42nd anniversary. 3 weeks to find out everything. 3 weeks to plan my revenge. He spent 42 years earning my trust. I'd spend 3 weeks destroying his entire life. What would you do in my position? Would you confront right away? Or would you wait and plan? Keep watching, because what I did next changed everything. The next morning, Robert left for work at 7:30. Same as always. Kissed my forehead, said he'd be home by 6. I waited until his car disappeared down the street. Then I went to work. I started with the bank statements, the ones that come to our house every month. The ones I usually just file away because Robert handles the money. I pulled out every statement from the past 2 years, spread them across the dining room table. And there it was. A pattern I'd been too trusting to see before. Withdrawals. Every other week. Sometimes $500, sometimes $1,000. Always in cash. Always on Tuesdays or Thursdays. I added them up on my calculator. $45,000. $45,000 over 18 months. That wasn't golf money. That wasn't business lunches. That was my mother's inheritance. The money she saved her entire life. The money she wanted her great-grandchildren to have for college. He spent it on her. But I needed more than bank statements. I needed proof that would hold up. Proof that couldn't be explained away. I went to his car. Robert always keeps it meticulously clean, but I knew there had to be something. There's always something. I found it in the glove compartment, hidden under the registration papers. A credit card I'd never seen before. Not in my name, not on any statement that came to our house. Just Robert's name, with an address I didn't recognize. I took a photo of it with my phone. Then I put it back exactly where I found it. He couldn't know I was investigating. Not yet. That evening, I called the credit card company. Pretended I was confirming our account. The woman on the phone was very helpful. She gave me the billing address. Harbor Cove Apartments, Unit 247. I felt my stomach drop. Harbor Cove. The expensive complex near the country club, the one with the lake view and the resort-style pool. The place I'd mentioned once wanting to downsize to. Robert said it was too expensive. Apparently, it wasn't too expensive for Jessica. I hung up and stared at my phone. An apartment? He'd rented her an apartment. This wasn't just an affair. This was a whole separate life. The next Tuesday came. Robert kissed me goodbye, said he was going to golf, would be home by 3. I called my friend Barbara, asked to borrow her car, told her mine was making a strange noise and I needed to get it checked. She didn't ask questions. We've been friends for 40 years. She just handed me her keys. At 9:30, I parked across from Harbor Cove Apartments. Waited. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. But I had to see it. I had to know for sure. Robert's car pulled in at 9:45. He parked in a reserved spot, like he lived there, like it was his home. Then Jessica came out to meet him. She was wearing yoga pants and a tank top. Her hair was down. She looked so young, so pretty, so alive. She kissed him. Not a quick peck, a real kiss. The kind I used to get from him 30 years ago. He wrapped his arms around her waist, picked up grocery bags from his trunk. They walked to the building together, laughing. Comfortable, like they'd done this 1,000 times. I took 47 photos. Every angle, every moment. My finger kept pressing the button, even though my vision was blurred with tears I refused to let fall. They went inside Unit 247. The lights came on. Through the window, I could see them in the kitchen, watching from outside. He was putting groceries away. She was pouring wine. It looked so domestic, so normal, so much like what we used to be. I sat in that parking lot for 2 hours, watching the life my husband was living without me, the life he was paying for with my mother's money. When I finally drove home, I felt numb. But I wasn't done investigating. Not even close. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I looked Jessica up on Facebook. Her profile was public. She had no idea she needed to hide. And there it was. Our entire relationship. In photos. For everyone to see. Jessica and Robert at Romano's Italian restaurant, the place he said was too expensive for our anniversary. Jessica and Robert at the beach, him in swim trunks I'd never seen, her in a bikini, both of them tan and smiling. That was the weekend he told me he had a business conference in Denver. Jessica and Robert at a concert, at a winery, at a farmer's market on Sunday morning, while I was at church, praying for our marriage. The photos went back 18 months. 18 months of Tuesdays and Thursdays and stolen weekends. 18 months of a double life I never suspected. But what made me physically sick was the comments. You two are so cute together. Relationship goals. When's the wedding? People knew. Strangers knew. Her friends knew. They were commenting on photos, liking them, celebrating them. And I had no idea. I scrolled through her friends list. There was her mother, Linda, from our church. Linda, who I'd sat next to at Bible study for 10 years. Linda, who brought me casseroles when I had surgery. Linda, who smiled at me every Sunday. She knew her daughter was sleeping with my husband, and she said nothing. I closed the laptop. I had everything I needed. Bank statement showing $45,000 gone, credit card proof of the apartment, 47 photos of them together, social media evidence going back 18 months. But I wanted one more thing. I wanted to know if anyone else knew. If my own community had been whispering behind my back while I smiled and served coffee at church. So I made some calls. And what I found out broke my heart all over again. Keep watching. Because when I tell you who knew about this affair, you won't believe it. The betrayal went so much deeper than I ever imagined. I couldn't carry this alone anymore. That night, I called my daughter Jennifer. She lives 20 minutes away with her husband and my 2 grandbabies. We talk every week. Or at least, I thought we talked about everything. Honey, I need to tell you something about your father. There was a long silence on the phone. Too long. Then Jennifer said 4 words that shattered me all over again. Mom, I know. My heart stopped. You know? What do you mean you know? She started crying. I've known for 6 months, Mom. I saw him at Francesca's restaurant downtown. With her. I recognized her from church. I felt like I'd been punched. 6 months? Jennifer, why didn't you tell me? Because Dad begged me not to. She was sobbing now, really sobbing. He pulled me aside in the parking lot, swore it was over, swore he'd end it, said if I told you it would destroy our family, that you'd never forgive him, that I'd be the one breaking up my parents' marriage. Oh, honey, I've been carrying this for 6 months, Mom. It's been eating me alive. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday, watching you smile at him, knowing what he was doing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She wasn't just protecting me. He'd made her carry his secret, made her complicit, used her love for our family to keep her silent. What kind of father does that to his child? Jennifer, this is not your fault. None of this is your fault. He manipulated you the same way he manipulated me. We talked for 2 hours that night. She told me everything she'd noticed. The way he'd been distant at family dinners, the new cologne, the way he'd check his phone constantly and smile at texts. She'd been watching our marriage fall apart from the outside, and I'd been living inside it, completely blind. The next day, I called my son Christopher. He lives in North Carolina with his wife. We don't talk as often as I'd like, but he needed to know. His reaction was different. I'll kill him. Christopher's voice went cold, hard. Mom, I swear to God, I'll get on a plane right now and I'll kill him. Chris, I need you to listen. No, you listen. You gave up everything for him. Everything. You put your teaching career on hold. You moved to 3 different states for his promotions. You raised us basically alone while he traveled. And this is how he repays you? Then Christopher told me something that made my blood run cold. Last year, Dad called me asking to borrow $15,000. Said he had a business investment opportunity. Needed it fast. I sent it. My voice came out as a whisper. That money didn't go to any business investment. I know that now. He used my money to pay for her apartment, didn't he? It wasn't just my mother's inheritance. He'd taken money from our son, used our own children to fund his affair. But I still had one more call to make. Barbara, my best friend for 40 years, the woman who'd been my maid of honor, who held my hand through 2 difficult pregnancies, who'd sat with me through my mother's funeral. We met for lunch at the diner near my house. I ordered coffee. Couldn't eat. Barb, I need to tell you something. She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. And then she started crying. Eleanor, I'm so sorry. Margaret, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. My stomach dropped. You knew? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I saw them 8 months ago at Target, holding hands, looking at furniture together like a couple. 8 months. Why didn't you tell me? I confronted him in the parking lot after you went inside. He swore it was ending, begged me to give him time to tell you himself, said he needed to figure out how to say it without destroying you. And you believed him? I wanted to believe him, because the alternative was having to break your heart myself. And I was a coward. Margaret, I was such a coward. I pulled my hand away. Who else knew, Barbara? She looked down at her coffee. The church ladies have been talking. For months. Nobody wanted to be the one to tell you. I felt my face go hot. Everyone knew. The whole church knew. Not everyone. Enough people. Enough that there were whispers, pitying looks. Poor Margaret. Everyone knows her husband is cheating except her. All those Sunday mornings, the sudden silences when I walked into rooms, the sympathetic smiles, the way Linda avoided eye contact, they all knew. And they let me walk around like a fool. I stood up from that table. Thank you for finally telling me the truth, Barbara, even if it was 8 months too late. Margaret, please. I'm not angry at you for knowing. I looked her straight in the eye. I'm angry at myself for being the last one to figure it out. I left the diner, and I made a decision. If everyone in my community already knew about this affair, if they'd all been whispering about it for months, if I had been publicly humiliated without even knowing it, then they were all going to witness what came next. Because I wasn't going to be the pitied wife anymore. I was going to be the woman who fought back. And Robert was going to learn that 42 years of lies had consequences. Public consequences. I picked Sunday for the confrontation. Our 42nd anniversary was in 2 weeks, but I wasn't waiting that long. Sunday has always been our day. Church in the morning, big dinner in the afternoon, family time. The routine we'd followed for 4 decades. I made his favorite meal. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans the way his mother used to make them. Apple pie for dessert. The irony wasn't lost on me. 42 years of marriage would end over pot roast. I set the table with our good china, the wedding china we only used for holidays. Put out cloth napkins, lit candles. And in the center of the table, I placed a 3-ring binder. Black, thick, full of evidence he didn't know existed. Robert came in from watching football. Wow, this looks amazing. What's the occasion? I smiled. Just felt like making you a nice dinner. We sat down. He served himself, started eating, complimented the roast like he always did. I didn't touch my food. After a few bites, he noticed. You're not eating. I think you should look at that binder first. I slid it across the table. His face. I wish I'd taken a picture. The color drained from his skin in seconds. He opened it slowly, like he was afraid of what he'd find. He should be. The first page was the bank statements. $45,000 highlighted in yellow. Second page, the credit card. Harbor Cove Apartments. 18 months of charges. Third page, photos. 47 of them. Him and Jessica. Kissing on the balcony. Carrying groceries. Looking like a couple. Each one a nail. His hands were shaking. Margaret, I can explain. Don't. My voice was ice. Don't insult me by trying to explain away 18 months of lies. He closed the binder, pushed it away like that would make it disappear. It was a mistake. His voice cracked. I'll end it. I love you. It meant nothing. Nothing? You spent $45,000 on nothing? You rented her an apartment for nothing? You took money from our son for nothing? His eyes went wide. He didn't know she knew about Christopher. How did you? I know everything, Robert. I've known for 3 weeks, and I've been 3 steps ahead of you this entire time. Then came the anger, his desperation shifting. You know what? Fine. You want the truth? You stopped trying, Margaret. You let yourself go. All you talk about are the grandkids and church. You're boring. Each word should have hurt. Maybe a month ago they would have, but I'd used the last 3 weeks to see him clearly. I'm boring? I let myself go? Is that why you needed $45,000 to keep her interested? She makes me feel young again. She doesn't judge me. She doesn't criticize me. She makes me feel alive. And I make you feel old? You make me feel like I'm already dead. Like I'm just waiting around to retire and die. I stood up, looked down at him. This man I'd spent 42 years loving. Let me tell you what I make you feel, Robert. My voice was steady, strong. I gave up my teaching career because you said mother should stay home. I moved to 3 different states for your promotions. I raised our children while you traveled. I hosted your business dinners. I smiled at your colleagues. I made you look good. I made you feel successful, important, supported. I made you feel like you could build your career without worrying about anything at home, because I handled everything. And this is how you repay me? He tried to touch my hand. Margaret, please. I pulled it away like it burned. Don't touch me. We can fix this. We'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. Just please, don't throw away 42 years. I'm not throwing away 42 years, Robert. You already did that. On a Tuesday, 18 months ago. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a second envelope. These are divorce papers. I filed 3 weeks ago. His mouth fell open. 3 weeks? But you said you only found out. I found out 5 weeks ago. That phone call from Jessica, the one where she called me by her own name, that was 5 weeks ago. I've spent the last 3 weeks documenting everything. Meeting with lawyers, protecting our assets, talking to our children, gathering evidence. While you've been having Tuesday golf days with Jessica, I've been building a legal case against you. You've been playing house. I've been playing chess. And Robert? I already won. His face went from red to white. Margaret, you can't just... I can, and I did. The house is in my name, inherited from my parents. I'm entitled to 60% of our assets because of your affair and financial misconduct. I get half your pension and lifetime alimony after a 42-year marriage. You spent my mother's money on your mistress? My lawyers are going to make you pay back every single dollar. Robert stood up. You can't do this. I'll fight you. With what money? The $45,000 you stole is documented. The apartment in her name is evidence. The credit card with a false address is fraud. Fight me all you want, Robert. I have better lawyers than you can afford. And I have something else you don't have. I have the truth, and everyone is about to know it. He sank back into his chair. What do you mean, everyone? I smiled. A real smile. The first one I'd felt in weeks. You'll find out soon enough. Consider it my anniversary gift to you. I walked out of that dining room, left him sitting at our table with his pot roast getting cold and his world falling apart. The man I married 42 years ago died that morning, and I didn't shed a single tear, because the real revenge hadn't even started yet. Let me take you back 3 weeks, before the confrontation, before Robert knew I knew. I sat in a lawyer's office, a woman named Diane Martinez, 47 years old, sharp suit, sharper mind. I'd brought everything. Bank statements, photos, credit card bills, Jessica's social media printed out and organized. Diane looked through it all. Then she looked at me with something like admiration. Mrs. Thompson, in 30 years of practice, I've never seen a client this prepared. Most women come in here emotional, scattered. You came in here like you're building a legal case. I was a teacher for 15 years before I quit. I know how to do research. Diane smiled. Well, you've just made my job very easy. Your husband doesn't have a leg to stand on. We talked strategy for 2 hours. Asset division, alimony, pension splitting. Everything was in my favor. Then I told her what I really wanted. I don't just want the divorce. I want everyone to know what he did. My church community, his business associates, everyone who's been whispering about this behind my back. Are you sure? Public exposure can backfire. It can make you look vindictive. Diane, they already know. They've known for months. They just thought I was too naive to figure it out. I don't look vindictive. I look honest. She nodded slowly. What did you have in mind? Our church has its annual fundraiser dinner in 3 weeks. 200 people attend. Robert's on the board. I organize the silent auction every year. I want to give a speech. Diane raised an eyebrow. A speech about what? Gratitude. I smiled, "for all the lessons I've learned this year." And that's exactly what I did. The church fundraiser was last Saturday, 5 days after I confronted Robert. He didn't want to go, obviously. He'd been sleeping in the guest room, barely speaking to me. But I told him if he didn't show up, I'd tell the pastor exactly why. And Robert cares about his reputation more than anything. So he came. The church hall looked beautiful. White tablecloths, centerpieces, a podium at the front with a microphone. 200 people filled the room. Church members, board members, community leaders. And Jessica, she was there too. Her mother, Linda, had invited her. Probably thought it was safe. Probably thought Margaret was still clueless. I watched Jessica walk in. Pretty sundress, hair done, smiling. She had no idea what was coming. Robert sat at the head table, looking miserable, checking his phone, probably texting her. I sat 3 tables away, with Barbara and the hospitality committee. Dinner was served. People ate, talked, laughed, just like every year. Then, Pastor Michael took the podium. Before we start the silent auction, Margaret Thompson has asked to say a few words. She's been organizing this event for 15 years. Let's give her a hand. I walked to that podium. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, but my hands were steady. I couldn't. Thank you all for coming tonight. My voice was calm, friendly. This fundraiser supports so many wonderful programs in our community. I want to take a moment to thank some special people. Barbara for her help with decorations, Linda for the beautiful flowers. Linda smiled from her table, waved a little. But most of all, I paused, looked directly at Robert. I want to thank my husband, Robert, for teaching me an important lesson this year. Robert's eyes went wide. He shook his head slightly. Too late. Robert taught me that after 42 years of marriage, I still didn't know him as well as I thought I did. The room got quieter. People shifted in their seats. For example, I didn't know Robert canceled his golf membership 2 years ago. Some confused looks. A few knowing glances. All those Tuesday golf days, he was actually at Harbor Cove Apartments, Unit 247. Gasps. Actual gasps. Robert stood up. "Margaret, stop this right now!" "Why?" I smiled, sweet, calm. "You didn't stop when I asked you to honor your vows, when I asked you to be faithful, when I gave you 42 years of my life." The room was dead silent now, everyone staring. I also didn't know Robert had a separate credit card, where he spent $45,000 of our retirement money, my mother's inheritance. More gasps. Someone said, "Oh my God." That money was supposed to be for our grandchildren's college funds, but Robert had other priorities. I looked directly at Jessica's table. She was trying to sink into her chair. He spent it on jewelry, hotels, furniture, for a very nice apartment, for a very special friendship. Linda's face went white. She turned to look at Jessica. Robert has developed quite a close relationship with Jessica Rodriguez over the past 18 months. Very close. See, there she is. I gestured toward Jessica's table. Every head in the room turned. Jessica's chair scraped back. She stood, started for the door. Jessica, don't leave on my account. Everyone here already knew about you and my husband. They've been talking about it for months. I was the only one who didn't know. Until now. Linda stood up. Jessica Marie Rodriguez, is this true? Jessica was crying, ran from the room. Robert tried to follow her. I need to... Sit down, Robert. My voice was ice. He froze, halfway between his table and the door. You don't get to run. You wanted this life. You wanted her. You risked 42 years for her. So stay. Listen to what comes next. I turned back to the microphone. The divorce papers were served yesterday morning. I'm getting the house, 60% of our assets, half his pension, and lifetime alimony. Someone started clapping. I looked. It was Jennifer, standing at her table, tears streaming down her face. Then Barbara started clapping too. Within seconds, half the room was applauding. Women mostly, but some men too. Robert stood there, his humiliation complete. Humiliated, exposed, alone. Enjoy your retirement, Robert. You'll have plenty of time for golf now. Or whatever you were really doing on Tuesdays. I walked off that stage, head high, and I never looked back. That was 6 months ago. I'm sitting in my new condo right now. Downtown, 15th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It's smaller than the house, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every paint color, every decision. For the first time in 42 years, I decorated a space just for me. Bright colors, modern furniture, art I kicked out myself. Not what matched the house, not what Robert wanted. What I wanted. And you know what? I have excellent taste. I just never knew it. Every morning, I have coffee on my balcony, watch the sunrise, listen to the city wake up. It's the first place I ever chose just for myself. And I absolutely love it. My relationship with Jennifer and Christopher is stronger now. We talk 3 times a week, real conversations, not just surface pleasantries. Jennifer told me last week, she said, "Mom, you seem lighter, like you can finally breathe." She's right. I can breathe for the first time in years. The grandkids come visit every Sunday. We bake cookies, make messes. I let them jump on the furniture because it's my furniture and I can make my own rules now. I started something else too, an online tutoring business, helping kids with reading and math, back to my roots. It doesn't pay much, but it's mine. I work when I want, with students I choose, on my own terms. And I joined a travel group, Solo Travelers Over 60. Next month, I'm going to Italy. 2 weeks in Tuscany, Rome, Florence, the Amalfi Coast. I've never been to Europe. Robert always said it was too expensive, that we should save for retirement. Turns out mistresses are expensive. Italy is an investment in myself. As for Robert, he's living in a studio apartment, working part-time consulting. He can't afford to fully retire now. The church board asked him to resign, something about moral character clauses. His country club membership was revoked when they found out he'd been lying about his golf attendance for 18 months. And Jessica? She left him 3 months after the church dinner. Started dating someone her own age. Turns out, she was in love with the money, not the man. When the money dried up, so did her interest. I don't hate him anymore. I don't feel anything for him. And that's how I know I'm free. He traded everything real for something temporary. And now he's alone with his choices. But me? I'm 68 years old. Some people think that's too old to start over. I think it's too precious to waste another minute on someone who doesn't value you. I wasted 42 years. I won't waste another day. And if you're watching this because you're going through something similar, if your husband is distant, if there are unexplained charges, if everyone seems to know something you don't, trust your gut. Investigate. Document everything. Don't confront until you're ready. And when you're ready, take everything he didn't think you were smart enough to protect. You're stronger than you think, smarter than he gave you credit for, and capable of building a life he never imagined for you. Because that's what I did. At 68, I'm finally living for myself. And it's beautiful. He lost everything. I found everything. If my story helped you, leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. Because you're not alone. None of us are alone. This isn't the end of my story. It's the beginning. And it's going to be beautiful.